As Steve grew older, his curiosity turned into passion. In high school, he met a man who would change his life, Steve Wozniak. And Steve Wozniak was a genius when it came to the electronic. He could build amazing gadgets from scratches. The two Steve quickly became the best friend and bonding over their love for the technology. One of their first invention together was the device called the Blue Box, which allowed people to make free long distance phone calls. It was illegal, but it showed how creative and bold they were. Steve later said, "Without the Blue Box, there would be no Apple." After high school, Steve attended Reed College in the Oregon, but here the surprising part: he dropped out after just 6 months. Wise. Steve realized that the college was not teaching him what he wanted to learn. He did not want to waste his parent and money, so he made the bold decision to leave. But instead of giving up on the learning, Steve started attending classes that interested him. One of those classes was calligraphy. At the time, it seemed useless. Why would a future tech engineer care about the font and handwriting? But year later, when the Steve was designing the first Macintosh computer, that California classes help him create the beautiful font we use on the computer story. This teach us an important lesson: never stop learning. You never know when the something seemingly small and will be become useful in the future. In 1974, Steve went on a journey to India. He was searching for something deeper, something beyond money or success. In India, Steve the learned about the spirituality and the importance of focus. He learned how to think deeply and how to stay calm under the pressure and how to keep his mind sharp. When he returned to the United States, Steve was not just a younger man anymore. He was a man with a vision. He wanted to create something that would change the world. At the age of 21, Steve and Steve Wozniak started their first company, but they did not have a fancy office or a big budget. They work out of a small garage in a Steve's parents, and they named the company Apple. Why Apple? Because Steve loved the simplicity and freshness of the fruit. He wanted his company to feel the same way: simple, fresh, and creative. Their first product was the Apple I, and a small computer that they built with their own hand. He was not perfect, but it was the beginning of something extraordinary. Steve Jobs' early life teaches us that the success does not come from the being perfect or following all the rules. It comes from the passion, hard work, and never giving up. Steve believed in the himself even when others did not. He did not let rejection or failure stop him. Steve and Wozniak worked tirelessly on their first product, the Apple I, and it was not just a machine, it was a vision of what technology could do for people. They started selling the Apple I to small computer shop and enthusiastic. It was not a huge success, but it earned them enough money to think. Steve was not satisfied. He believed that the future was not just for tech expert, it was for the everyone. His dream was to create a computer so simple and beautiful that anyone, even a child, could use it. This led to the creation of their next product, the Apple II. The Apple II was the revolutionary. It was one of the first personal computers that came with a color graphic and was ready to use straight out. It became a massive success, making Apple a multi-million dollar company almost overnight. Steve, at just 23-year old, became a millionaire. But Steve was not excited about the money. What truly drove him was his dream to change the world. Steve was not an easy person to the work with. He demanded excellence in the everything. If something was not perfect, he had pushed his team to start over. People said he was difficult, but Steve believed in one thing: if you want to create something truly great, you cannot steal for good enough. For the Steve, every small detail mattered, whether it was the design of the computer or the way the company logo looked. He wanted it to be perfect. He comes said, and when you look at the product, you should not just see how it works. You should feel it. It should be inspire you. These ovations with the quality made Apple product stand out. By the early 1980s, Steve had a new vision. He wanted to create a computer that was not just financial but also beautiful, friendly, and easy to use. By the early 90s, this dream became the Macintosh or Mac. The Macintosh was not just a product, it was an experience. It introduced things we take for the granted today, like the mouse and the graphical user interface, the idea of clicking icon instead of typing commands. Steve believed that technology should be human centered. He said computers are not about technology, they are about helping people unlock their creativity. The Maestro launch in 1984, Steve made sure it had. He hired a famous director to create an ad called 1984, which aired during the Super Bowl. It showed Apple as a company that would break all the barrier and free people from boring traditional technology. But success was not always smooth. Dispute his brilliancy, Stove's personality create conflict. Many people in Apple thought he was too demanding, too sublime, and too controlling. In 1985, a power struggle erupted between the Stowe and Apple's board of directors, shockingly, and they decided to remove him from the company he had created. Imagine that the being fired from your own company. For Steve, this was the devastated. Image and for Stewie this was devastating and he felt betrayed, humiliated and lost. He later said getting fired from the Apple was the best thing that ever happened to me. It freed me to think and creatively, and instead of giving up, Steve used this setback as the chance to start over. He founded a new company called Next, which focused on the creating advanced computer for education and business. Around the same time, Steve bought a small animation studio called Pixar. At first, Pixar struggled, but the store believed in its potential. He worked with a team of the talented artists and technicians who shared his vision. In 1995, Pixar realized its first move toy. It was the world's first fully computer animated film and it became an initiant. While the Steve was building next and the Apple was struggling. Without Steve vision and the leadership, the company had started to fail. By the mid 1990s, Apple was on the brink. In 1997, Apple made a bold decision. They invented Steve Jobs back to the company. This was his moment of redemption. When Steve was returned, he found Apple in a chose. Product were not selling. The company was losing money and people had lost faith. But Steve was not scared. He had a plan. One of his first decisions was to simplify everything. He cancelled unnecessary projects and focused on just a few products that could truly make a difference. In 1998, Steve introduced the iMac, a computer that was unlike anything people had ever seen. It was colorful, simple, and fun, but it was not just about look. It was also fast and powerful. The iMac became a huge success, putting Apple back on the map. It showed the world that Apple was no longer or a feeling company. Steve was back, and so was his mechanic. He had Apple focus on simplicity instead of creating dozen of the product. And he asked, "Why don't we just focus on four?" He simplified everything: fewer product, fewer design, and clear goals. And then Steve did not something surprising. He partnered with Apple biggest rival and Microsoft. Many people hated this idea, but Steve said, if we want to survive, we need to be practical. The deal brought Apple much needed cash and made people believe in the company again. By the late 1919, Steve was ready to revolutionize Apple. His vision was simple: create products and that are beautiful, powerful, easy to use. In 2001, Apple launched the iPod, a tiny device that could hold 1000 songs in your pocket. This was a game changer. Before the iPod, people carried CDs or the tapes, which were the clunky and the inconvenient. But with the iPod, music became portable and personal. Steve did not just sell a gadget, he sold an idea. He said, with the iPod, you can carry your entire music library everywhere you go. The iPod was not just about technology, it was about freedom, creativity, and joy. It became a cultural phenomenon, and millions of people fell in the love with it. Steve was a unique leader and he did not manage Apple like a regular CEO. He treated the company like an artist creating a masterpiece. He paid attention to every detail, color, font, packaging, and even the way product felt in your hand. He believed that the design and functionality should work together seamlessly. Steve once said, design is not just what it look like and feel like, the design is how it works. But the Steve could also be tough and he demanded excellency from his team. Sometimes he was blunt and impatient. People who worked for him and said he was the intense, but they also admitted that his passion pushed them. And in 2007, Steve introduced the product that would change the world forever, the iPhone. The iPhone was not just a phone, and it was a camera, a music player, and a computer all in one device. Before the iPhone, phones were clumsy and hard to use. Steve wanted to create something so simple and initiating that anyone. He once said the iPhone is the product of simplicity. It's the best phone, the best music player, and the best internet communicator. We are putting all of this in your pocket. The iPhone was an instant success. People loved its silk and design, its touch and screen, and the way it made their life easier. It was not just a product, it became a product part of the pupil. And Steve did not just create product, he created a new way of thinking. He believed that the technology should empower people to do more, to dream bigger, and to express themselves. He once explained technology is at its best when it becomes invisible, when you don't even think about the device you are using, that when your magic happen. Stephen's philosophy was not just about a selling gadget, it was about the inspiring people to achieve their potential. In 2008, Steam launched the App and Store, an online marketplace where the people could download app for their iPhones. This idea changed how people use technology. Before the App Store, phones were limited to basic function like calling and texting. But with the apps, people could play games and learn new skill and contact with the other worldwide. The App Store created opportunity for millions of the developer and the entrepreneur. Steve did not just blind a product; he built an ecosystem that allowed creativity to thrive. While Steve was changing the world, he was also fighting a personal battle in 2003. In 2003, he was diagnosed with a rare form of the pancreatic cancer. At first, Steve did not take the conventional route and he tried the alternative treatment, believing he could heal the naturally. But as time passed, his health worsened. Eventually, he had surgery and the return to work. Even during his illness, Steve never stopped innovating. He said, I want to put a dent in the universe before I go. His determination and work ethic inspiring everyone around him. Despite his challenges, he continued to lead Apple with the same passion and energy. In 2010, Steve introduced the iPod, and a device that was bigger than a phone but smaller than a laptop. People were skeptical at first. They asked, why do we need this? But Steve believed that the iPod could create a new category of device. It was perfect for the reading, watching movie, and browsing the internet. He said the iPod is the most advanced technology, but it feels so natural and simple to use. It magical. Once again, Steve proved the critic wrong. The iPod became a massive success, showing the world that innovations has no limits. By 2010, Steve Jobs had become more than just a CEO. He was a global icon, a symbol of the innovation and determination. However, behind the scene, his health was deteriorating. The battle with the pancreatic cancer that had begun year early. Dispute his illness, Steve refused to slow down. He often said, "You only get one life, make it count." Every day he pushed himself to do his best work. He believed in living with a purpose no matter how much time he had left. Under Steve's leadership, Apple had reached the new height, and by 2011 it became one of the most valuable company in the world. Millions of the people own iPhone, iPad and Mac computer. People was not just a company anymore. It was a lifestyle. Steven's vision went beyond creating products. He wanted to build an ecosystem where everything worked together. And for example, you could take a picture on your iPhone and see it on your Mac instantly. You could start an email on your iPad and finish it on your laptop. He believed technology should make a life easier, not more complicated. This idea became the foundation of the Apple success. While the Stephen was busy transforming the world, he also cherished his family, was married to Lurency Powell Job, a strong and intelligent woman who supported him through all his challenges. Together they had three children, Reed, Erin, and Eva. Stephen also had a daughter, Lisa, from a previous relationship. He was not always the perfect father, especially in his early years, but over time, he worked hard to build a stronger relationship with his kids. Stephen often told his children, "Don't steal for anything less than what you love. Follow your passion, and the rest will fall into place." Despite his demanding schedule, he made time for a family dinner and simple moment. He loved walking in the garden with the Lurens, discussing ideas and the reflecting on life. Even Stephen health worsened, he kept thinking about the future. He was not just focused on the next product, he was focused on the next them. Stephen wanted Apple to remain innovative even after he was gone. He worked closely with his team, sharing his idea and mentoring them. One of his most famous quotas was, "Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things." This meant focusing only on what truly mattered and ignoring the distraction. In 2011, Apple introduced Siri, a virtual assistant that could understand and respond to spoken command. Siri was another example of Steven's vision for the future, technology that felt natural and innovative. Steven wanted technology to feel like an extension of the human mind. Siri was just the beginning of a new era of artificial intelligence, showing how far Apple could go. In just 2011, Steven made a difficult decision. He stepped down an Apple CEO, knowing his health would no longer allow him to lead the company. He wrote an heartfelt letter to the Apple board and saying, "I have also said that if there ever came a day when I could no longer meet my duties and expectation as Apple CEO, I would be the first to let you know. And unfortunately, that day has come." Stephen chose Tim Cook and his trusted colleagues as his successor. He believed Tim shared his value and vision for the company. Although Steven stepped down, he remained closely involved with the Apple project. He spent his remaining day and ensuring that Apple would continue to strive. In his final month, Steven spent more time with his family. He often talked about the meaning of the life and the importance of leaving a legacy. He said, being the richest man in the cemetery does not matter to me. What matters is that I have done something wonderful for the world. Stephen loved to sit in his garden and surrounding by the nature. He found peace in the small simple thing. Watch the sunrise, listening to music and holding. On the October 5 in 2011, Steve Jobs passed away at the age of 56. His death was global loss and the million of people mourn him. In 2005, Stephen Jobs delivered a commencement speech at the Stanford University that became one of the most iconic speeches in history. His messages was not just for the graduate, it was for anyone striving to find purpose. He started by saying, "Today I want to tell you three stories from my life. That is it, and no big deal, just three stories." Each story revealed a powerful lesson he had learned during his journey. The first story connecting the first story connecting the dots, Steven shared how he dropped out of college because he did not see it value but stay around to attend classes that interested him. Like calligraphy at the time, it seemed meaningless. But a year later, the skill he learned in that calligraphy class helped him design the beautiful font for the Macintosh computer, which revolutionized how people use computer. He said, "You cannot contact the dot looking forward, you can only contact them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dot will somehow connect in your future." This lesson teaches us that every experience, no matter how small or uncertain, can lead to something bigger. The second story, Love and Loss, Steve spoke about being fired from the Apple, the company he had started. He called it one of the most devastating experiences of his life, but also one of the most thrilling. He said something life hits and you in the head and with the bricks, and don't lose faith. I am convinced that the only things that kept my going was that I love what I did. This story reminds us to keep moving forward even when life does not go as planned. The third story, Death. Stevens' final story was about facing his mortality. He shared how being diagnosed with cancer changed the way he looked at life. It reminded him that the time is precious and should not be wasted on things that does not matter. He said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become." This was his most powerful message, live authentically with the purpose and passion. After his passing in 2011, Stephen Jobs' influence did not fade, it grew even stronger. Apple continued to innovate, releasing products like the Apple Watch and AirPod, and pushing the boundary with. But the Stephen legacy is not just about technology; it's about the way he made people think. He taught us to. First, challenges the status quo. Stephen always believed in questioning the ordinary and striving for the extraordinary. Second, focus on quality. He once said he be a yardstick of the quality. Some people are not used to an environment with excellence is expected. He pushed himself and his team to deliver their best work every time. Third, stay hungry, stay foolish. These words, which he borrowed from a magazine he loved, became his life motto. They remind us to keep learning, dreaming, and taking risks. Steven Jobs did not just create product; he created tools that change how people live, work, and communicate. Think about it. The iPhone made the world more connected than ever before. The Mac gave artists and writer and the creator a platform to express themselves. The iPod transformed the education, making learning more interactive and accessible. Steven's idea reached every corner of the globe. Millions of people now use technology not just for the work, but to tell their stories, explore their creativity, and chase their dreams. Steven's life was filled with the ups and downs, but he always found a way to turn challenges into opportunity. Here are some of the most important lessons his journey teaches. First, believe in yourself even when you people doubt him. Steve trusted his vision. He showed us that the self belief is the foundation of success. Second, think big. Steve did not just want to create product, he wanted to change the world. He believed in setting ambitious goals and working tirelessly to achieve them. Third, never stop learning. Steve was always curious and eager to learn new things. He showed us that the growth comes from the being open to new ideas and experiences. Fourth, follow your passion. Steve's greatest success came for doing what he loved. He proved that when you follow your passion, work becomes more meaningful. Stephen Jobs once said the people who are crazy enough to think and they can change the world are the ones who do. And he was right. Stephen Jobs' life was a proof and that one person armed with a passion, vision, and determination can make a lasting impact on the world. His story is not just about success, it's about the resilience, creativity, and power of believing in the yourself. No matter where you are in a life, Stephen's journey reminds us that it's never too late to dream big and make a difference. So let's take inspiration from the Steve Jobs' extraordinary life and remember our time is limited, but our potential is infinity. अगर आपको मेरा टॉपिक अच्छा लगे लिसनिंग प्रैक्टिस तो मेरे चैनल को लाइक